All right. So why does it say still I'm hosting Tim Rivers when I'm clearly not? Why? Why? Why is it like that? What the? Hey, good morning. Why is it showing Tim Rimmers? I'm not watching Tim Rimmers. I'm streaming. Oh, god damn it. I hate this shit. I'm gonna switch off hosting. Of course, now I don't even remember where to do it. Oh. This is stupid. This is so stupid. Hey, good morning. Paul Trefal, Quentin. So stupid. I don't understand why it doesn't. Hey, Atsuki, good morning. And Eternal 80. Zealin. The auto hosting is like taking over. I don't get it. I don't get it. Whatever. Control down. So I wrote a little bit of this checklist, a little bit of my homework, right? So let's try to do that. Right, Zealin. I might switch off auto hosting. It's more annoying than, I mean, it's great for everyone else, but it's a bit annoying. I don't know. I don't like it that much. It's mostly just, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's great for everyone else that, you know, for traffic, but not sure. Not sure I like it. Hey, Gaxi, how's it going? How's it going? All right. So, let's start. Okay. So as you can see, I wrote down the list of what I thought would be a good start, at least, when it comes to like what you're gonna draw. And I tried to compose the list in a way that of thought, you know, like form lines and light, you know, like that's the technical aspect of drawing, right? Everything correct, but at the same time, the composition of shapes, the rhythm, which, you know, which I think one of those monsters, sci-fi monsters I did last week, was failed at, while the first one was more successful of. It had a way better rhythm. hence why a lot more people enjoyed looking at it. I think it became a lot more people reacted well to it because it was a better constructed design. Um, hey, Gaxix, cheers for that. So this time I'll try to constantly force this list into play as I'm sketching. So now I'm thinking about pose, shapes. Like I want to more actively think. I'm kind of giving myself a lesson here. So more actively think about the rhythm of details, shapes, and so on. Right? That's the composition of shapes, the rhythm of the design. And I think that's where some people, artists in the industry, they're really, really good at it. Like they make very good decisions when it comes to the rhythm of things. Some have an innate feeling of what's right when it comes to that. And some people have a very natural understanding of light. And some lucky people just have a great combination of all. and unfortunately not everyone has. So it's always something that we should always try to think about and improve upon. So what I'm trying to go after with this character, still sci-fi, is a little bit of like an alien bounty hunter again. That is a reoccurring theme here. But what I like about bounty hunters, for example, is the fact that they can be a little bit ragtag, and when it comes to just sketching something randomly, it's a great direction, easy direction, because you can make them look a little bit patched together, right? Anyway, so I'm thinking a little bit sci-fi. The guy has a exoskeleton, so I'm trying to play around with the rhythm of the parts. I don't want it to be too busy all over, so the plan is to cluster details around the naked shoulder, so that the naked shoulder feels very naked, and the details surrounding there will both push that further, but also use that so that the busy area looks a lot more busier versus calmer area. That's the general plan for that place. And then I'm kind of seeing there's a lot of details I was thinking in his face. So what I got to do then, in order to if you go by that checklist, the composition, I can't overcomplicate things surrounding that area. So I'm gonna have maybe face tattoos, but this is never a good idea to do patterns like this just straight off the bat. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's try to mirror it. But luckily it's on a separate layer. Hey, Captain Jetlag, Chillstrand. How's it going? So then it comes down to pose. I guess I need to change that pose or add personality. So for Strangler, so personality, what kind of person is he? See, maybe he's like a slimy, snake-like type character. So let's give him a white mouth and a lots of small teeth. So that kind of will help the, hopefully help the rhythm a little bit. So we got bands of detail and not have a lot of other features. Wow, that's really cool, Chisran. Make sure you share the experience on Discord. So let's give the other arm nothing. And so we have a busy area up top. We got calmer there. We got an exoskeleton there. Let's play with the silhouette. Did I write silhouette? No, that should be added to the list. So maybe he could have like a minigun or something on that one arm to justify that he has a exoskeleton arm. Or like, why otherwise would he have one? Just not to be cool, right? But that could be a cool idea, that he has like a minigun type weapon there. So let's go add, change that list to adding composition of shapes, form line slide. All right. Silhouette. Silhouette. I have no idea how you spell silhouette. Silhouette? I have no idea. I need to check that later. Hey, Yon Psk. Thanks for the follow. PSQ. Awesome. Right, so if we are going by our own list here, the purpose, personality, I should actually move that list up a bit as it's getting pushed down. So yet again, I think I need to go back to the rhythm, the shapes. So let's add some things to maybe counteract the busy side of the shoulder with more stuff on this side. I think that would be a good move. Is there anything on the list you guys think should be added, like a checklist of when doing a design? Obviously, color palette. Presentation is an important one. you could squeeze that in narrative. Materials, yeah, that's a good point. Sofa Strangler, that's funny. Hey, Vyacheslav Volkov. Functionality. Yeah, functionality. But that comes a little bit with purpose, right? In a way, you could see it as purpose. But functionality, silhouette, form, light, composition of shapes. So we could do materials and functionality. Let's add that to the list. So I think having a list like this, it's easier to find your own mistakes, right? So I can show you. Those two monsters I talked about. So this one obviously has mistakes when it comes to rhythm and design. Silhouette works, but the inside doesn't. While the one that was more liked and a lot more people appreciated, it has way more of that checklist in a good way. I mean, these are just 30-minute sketches, you just kind of have to go with it. So if I would go back to this one, I would go back in and change the inside of the silhouette and improve the rhythm of the inside. So that being said, like, it's so easy if you try to quantify what steps you need to do. That's stupid looking bunny ears, but actually kind of cool that they look like bunny ears. Gives it a funny twist to the personality. Yeah, so what I was starting to say, like, if you start to try to quantify what is actually needed. Hey, Eric Moy, welcome back. It's a lot more easier to start thinking about what you're actually trying to do, right? Or what you're actually trying to improve on. So you could also actually see this as a self-educational thing, that if you have a checklist and if you thinking about what you're actually having to do, like steps, what you should think about, what's important for you to do when you're designing a character or whatever it is. And if you notice you're doing mistakes in the same part of the list, like, oh, I always mess up the silhouette. I can't find a personality in the characters or the monsters or whatever you're trying to design. You're starting to see a pattern, and you wouldn't really see a pattern there until you start questioning what your moves are, what's your thought process, what's the things that you're trying to achieve. And by having a list like this, you can easily run the checklist and go, okay, have I nailed the silhouette? Have I nailed the shapes? Have I nailed the light? Where am I failing? So it's easy to try to improve on that aspect, right? You could easily just go, okay, I'm messing up the shapes, I'm messing up the composition, I'm messing up the presentation, all these things. But obviously it's harder to do when you only have 30 minutes and you're designing at the same time, trying to hit all the things at once. Um, but it's a good practice for me to try to make direct decisions using my implicit knowledge to try to hit all the marks. You know, it's a really tricky one to do. The more you think, like I mentioned before, the more you think, the more you're removed from your sweet spot in imagination and the creative process, where you don't go on autopilot anymore. So because now I'm actively trying to practice these decisions, I know that I'm most likely gonna lower the quality, because I'm having to do active recall of information, right? I'm second guessing my moves all the time. And if you go back and look at other streams where I'm just going for it, the result usually are a lot stronger because I'm not questioning the moves. And that's one thing you should also take in consideration when all of you are doing studies and practicing and trying to learn something, is that it's not going to be as strong as it could be, because you're applying knowledge that is not hasn't become innate yet. Like it's not a part of your autopilot. So that's an easy thing to forget, and easy to think that you're shit because you can't nail the knowledge even though it's in front of you. It's just because it's a new part of what you're trying to learn, and you just got to do it more and more, and the more you do it, the easier it is to do. And that being said, like having that list, in a way, you can give yourself feedback after you've done the sketch. So if you feel like thinking about your moves is damaging too much, you could easily just go on autopilot. Hey, Heather, welcome. You could easily go on autopilot and paint whatever you want without thought, and taking yourself out of your implicit mind state, where everything just flows together, where you're not questioning your moves, you're not actively trying to solve the issues, you're just having fun, right? That's the most important part in the creative process, is just having fun first. So you could also do that, and then have the checklist. And when you feel like you've done something that you like, you go through the checklist and go, how's the form, light lines, whatever? How's the silhouette? Could it be improved? Where is it? Where is this sketch failing? And so on. And then you can think about like if it would be like as if it would be for someone else you're giving critiques, because mid sketch, like stopping and thinking, okay, what am I doing wrong here, could actually jeopardize yourself, because like I have talked about many times, about implicit and explicit mind states. I saw this clip where someone were talking about it, and like he was talking about, I think, basketball players in this clip. He was saying like the best way to stop someone having a great game, like playing basketball, is to ask them technical questions, because then they're not just reacting to the game, they're not just playing the game and enjoying it, they are starting to have to think, and automatically they're removed from the game. I think in this instance it was 3-point throws or something they were talking about, but that doesn't just limit implicit and explicit mind states to playing a sport. So what they were saying is just that like the more you have to think about what you're doing, the more removed you are from using your knowledge that you've practiced. So that's why you're always the best when you're just doing. Right? So that's a huge part of being creative, which everyone should try to remember, is that just be creative and then apply critical thinking to it. And the more you stop mid-process, the easier it is for you to fail. Obviously, we are always thinking about what we're doing, like I just did, leaning back and looking at the picture. You know, what's missing? What should I add? But a lot of times, it's probably better to just draw. You know, create something and stop questioning everything too hard, because a lot of it will come. Hey, Hazard. Yeah, Hazard. Oh, the implicit mind state, the autopilot, is where repetition and knowledge goes into, um, and it's where you don't rationalize. You're just doing, right. And explicit is a conscious recall of information, and that is always, it could even be stuff you know by heart, but like I said, if someone questions you about it, and having to ask a technical question, like I'm doing now, I'm painting and having a miniature lecture, that removes me from just being in the sweet spot, like putting on some great music and just zoning out and painting something uh, from the inside, uh, and explicit. Hey, Heather, cheers for the follow, much appreciated. And that like also stops you from being um, as good as you are. So it's important to remember that maybe if you're struggling with a drawing, maybe walk away, get in the zone, put on some music, stop thinking, or think about it, take a step back, stop painting, and like, okay, what am I missing? Remind yourself maybe of this checklist, and then, or that, okay, I'm not gonna look at this list anymore. I'm not gonna try to solve any more issues. I'm just gonna, like I always say, a good advice is to just make a new layer and go with a heavy hand on top. Go, here's changes I want. And if you don't, no, not if you don't, and make a new layer with a big brush and just make big changes. Just destroy the painting and say, oh, this is wrong. This should be added here. I don't like the way it look over here. And that's why, for example, Liquify is a great tool, because you can go around that by shifting stuff around and correct your own mistakes in a way. Anyway, so that's one of the things that you can do with a new layer and a big fat brush. Um, if you're struggling, just go, okay. Don't try to hold on to the mistakes, and just completely change the painting because of parts that isn't working. Total Recall. Heather, I have in Firestarter magazine. Um, if you Google it, I have a lecture about it. It touches on the subject. Sofa strangler. Yeah, that's a really good thing to do. I mean, that's what you prepare yourself. Got 6 chairs. Yeah, it's turning into some weird drawing. Um, I feel like my drawing is less than lecture. The more lecture than drawing today. I'm definitely not in my implicit mind state painting this. But it's fun. And I absolutely agree with you, Sofa Strangler. With correct preparations, uh, you can solve a lot of problems. But a lot of it is what I'm just saying about in this checklist. Is preparing, thinking, correcting yourself beforehand, practicing these things. All, you know, you're just minimizing mistakes. Which reminds me, uh,
All right.
hey, cheers, person with uh, alphabet I can't read. Welcome. Was that Chinese? Mental image, I was thinking could be added. Oh, seeing that, but that should probably be higher up in the list. Like seeing it and trying to chase it, like Sofa Strangler said, like with a lot of preparation, it's easier to get the good result. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the more you think about something, the better mental image you have in there of where you take it. And in these instances, like for me, doing a 30-minute drawing, um, it's even more important to try to have an image uh, that you go for rather than just act. Because when you're just acting, chances are, because due to the fact that I'm talking and trying to have some sort of um, entertainment to my streams, I'm also removed from my autopilot, and I have to try to hold a conversation while being somewhat in my implicit mind state, trying to be in the sweet spot, and be creative in a good way where the drawings are interesting to look at rather than just I don't know what. Sofa Strangler, no, it didn't come across at all. That is something that you mastered. I I take in for granted in any art related subject that if anyone says that they've mastered it, they're full of bullshit. You can't master art. There's always something new you can learn, and there's always something that you can improve on. You can't master art. You can be a master, but that's more like a recognition of a crazy level of art. But you haven't mastered art. You're just mastered. You're just so higher at skill level than other artists that you've mastered them. Right? You haven't mastered art. You've just mastered all the other plebs that tries the art game. Like Picasso. I'm not talking about me here. I'm one of those plebs that tried to learn this game. I think I need to add to the list, the top list there. I need to add shadows, because they shadows, as in like a harder shadow, the rhythm of those are very important. All right. No, no worries, self-restrainer. You didn't come across like that at all. So that's that's a drawing of today and the rant of the day. Like I told you, I tried to do the homework of making that list, and I think we helped together define it a little bit better. Um, yeah, I think it's a good thing to remind yourself of as you're creating of all these things, and hopefully you guys liked it. And it made sense to some degree. I think a lot of these things come automatic when you're creating, and the hard part is to remind yourself all the time, and then you can't just draw anymore. So it's really important to find a technique and mind state that is have freedom in the way you create, and then you can kind of question the decisions you've made. And that's where like music comes into play, or silence or loud noises. It all depends on what you need to find your zone, right? All right. Glad you guys liked it. See you tomorrow for you new people, Heather and so on. Every day at the same time I stream, so welcome tomorrow. I'll end the stream now because it's time to go back to work. It's a warm-up at the studio we do every day. All right, thanks everyone. Go check out Discord. There's YouTube archive. Donate if you want. I don't care. I do. I do love me. No. All right, have a good one, everyone. Bye. Here comes the outro. Outro.